Okay, doing paper twos, 2025. I don't know how the audio is. It seemed a bit off, but we'll see. Again, just so you can see what it's like when I'm doing them first. Yeah. No junior cert ones though, so I'm gonna have to. There. Okay. So. Oh yeah. Okay. I always forget. I'm gonna need my calculator and stuff. Table below shows total monthly rainfall for Athenry. Each value is rounded to the nearest millimeter. The total was 94 total in 2024. Find the percentage decrease. Okay, I did say this to some of them, so that's okay. So we have to find the decrease first off. So it went from 94 to 72, so that would be 22. And to find the percentage decrease, we do 22 over 94 multiplied by 100. Correct to 1, 23.4%. Okay. Work out the mean and standard deviation. Yep, you're just going to have to sit tight while I'm doing. Hang on now. 114, 42, 186, 93, 64, 94, 224, 129, 148, 180, 114, 203. Hopefully I've typed all them in now. Right, 114, 180, 148, 129, 224, 94, 64, 93, 186, 42, 144. And then on my calculator, I do this and this and then this, but it's all in German, so who knows? The mean, correct the nearest whole number, 133. Standard deviation, 54. Okay, I showed them how to do that the day before, so hopefully. Table below shows the monthly values ranked from lowest to highest. The upper quartile of the data is 183. Find the value of the lower quartile and hence work out the interquartile range. So there's 12 months, so 3, 6, so that should be where the median is. And then they said the upper quartile is in between here and here. That's right. So for us, we're going to say it's in between here and here. So it's going to be 93.5 is the lower quartile. I guess I should put that here, 93.5. And then the interquartile range is just minus them. So that would be 89.5, I think. That's not bad. I think hopefully they were okay with that. Well, yeah, okay. The first one's always kind of nice. There are two angles, A and 2A. Show the size of angle A is 30. So technically you'd have to say that you'd have to do it like this. So that one you actually have to show it. You can't just say I know it. The lengths of two sides are x and 10 as shown using A to B 30. Find the value of x. So we'd say tan of 30 because it's opposite over adjacent is equal to x over 10, which means that x is equal to I have to put my calculator back into normal mode. 10 tan 30. 5.77. Some of his measurements are shown below, 145, so that means that's 35. I don't know if we need it, but I'm going to do it. Work out the distance from P to OR. Yeah, we would need that because now we can use the sine rule because we have this pair that matches, and we know that these two would match, and we want this one, so I'm going to call that X. And then we can say that 11 over sine of 104 is equal to x over sine 335. And then you multiply that up and you would get how do I want to write this? I would say 11 over sine 104. Boom, boom, boom. I could have done that better actually now that I'm seeing it. Correct to one decimal place. X is 6.5. That's not bad. I'd say this bit through people, but that's not bad, and that's not bad. I went through some of that with them. Hopefully they were actually listening. The diagram below shows 3 circles, P, Q, R, which is write each of the letters in the correct. Oh, okay. They're not gonna like that. That's Q, that's P, and that's R. The circle has this center and this radius. Find its equation. So we'd say x minus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 49. Circle as the center point is on the thing as shown. Find the radius. You'd find the distance between them, which is going to be 5. Hence or otherwise write down the coordinates of 2 points that are on the circle other than 2 and 7. So we just have to find some that are basically what you could do is just do this. I don't know if people are going to spot this. It'd be 2 and minus 1. 2 and minus 1 I think works. And then over here we do the same. We get this one, and that one would be something and 7. It would be minus 4 and 7. Isn't that right? Minus 4 and 7. Oops, 7. Minus 4 and 7 work because it's 3 across and 3 across again, but it's still allowed the 7. I think so. Maybe, I don't know. Those are points on the coordinate diagram as shown. Find the slope of the line A to B. It goes up by 7, down by 3. Is that right? No, I have to do it around, of course, yeah. Minus 3 over 7 is what I meant. But that's being stupid. Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. Hence, we're going to get the equation of the line AB. Alright, I'm going to use this one, I guess. The 2, 0 would be easier, because then it would be y equals 7, y equals minus 3x plus 6. And then we'd say 3x plus 7y minus 6 equals 0. I think that's right. 2 and 0. You put the 0 in for y. Y minus y1 would just be y. Y multiplied by the 7 is 7y. You'd multiply the 3x, or the minus 3 by x minus 2. Yeah. I went through that. Yeah, I went through that with them. The third point on the word, the area of the triangle. Now this one I didn't go through with them, so that's unfortunate. So what we're going to do is we're going to move them all 2 to the left. So we're going to take away 2 from all their x values. So that's going to be minus 7 and 3. Minus 7 and 3. And that's going to be new c. So it's going to be 2 and 3. Minus 7, 2 and 3. Minus 7. I'm going to look that up actually. I think I've got that wrong, that formula. I think I actually got it right, which is more worrying than anything, but I got the points right. I slid them all over 2 spaces. They're still at 3, they're still at 3. It's going to be minus 7 and 2, though. That's going to be 0, 0. Yeah, I think that's chill. I think. And then that's going to be minus 27 inside of it, but it's going to be half of that. So it's going to be 13.5. Minus 21 minus 6 is minus 27, if I'm not mistaken, and then half that. The lines of the following equations. Investigate if these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So I technically did this with them. So the slope for that one is 2 over 3. The slope for this one would be minus 2 over 3. So neither, I think. Hopefully that's okay for the working out that I've done. Drift that over would be minus 2, divide both sides by 3, yeah. J and K are 2 parallel lines. Find the sizes of A, B, and C. A is 60. B is 45. And then C, interestingly enough, that would be 120. So that would be 20. Because that's 60, that's 120, that's 160, yeah. I don't know if people will get the C in ordinary level, to be honest. The diagram below shows the isosceles triangle. D is the midpoint, A to D is perpendicular. That's 9, that's 5. They gave us that. Use the theorem of Pythagoras to work out that one. It's going to be square root of 56. Oh, it's a decimal point actually. Okay, never mind. Then I can't do that. Yeah, 81. Take away 25, 56. Square root of that is 2 root 14. But correct one decimal place, 7.5. Show that the triangles are congruent. Give a reason for each statement you make. AD is equal to AD. Because it's the same line. We can say they both have an angle of 90. I think it was this ADC, yeah. Because it's about 90. I'm not using the arrows right. Don't necessarily copy that down. And we could say B to D and D to C are equal because it's the midpoint that splits it in half. So BD is equal to DC because midpoint means it's split in half. It's been split in two. It's been divided directly in the middle. So they're both 5. And then that would be SAS. Side angle side. I did do this, thank fuck. 14. So that's going to be 76. That's going to be 62. That's going to be 48. That's going to be 34. And the probability they're between 34 and 90. Hopefully they all remember it's 95%. This I didn't say. 150 students sat the exam. Estimate the number of students that got between 48 and 76. So that's 68% of 150. To the nearest. Oh, it's just 102. Okay. All right. On right hand 5 positive whole numbers, the smallest to the largest for these 5 numbers. 9 is the median, the mode, so 9 is here, the mode is 6, so that means it shows up the most often. There has to be 2 of them, the range is 11, so that has to be 17, and the mean is 10. They add up to 38 at the minute, but they have to add up to 50, so that would be 12. I do that right. Mean is 10, 12, 21, 33, 50. Yeah. Okay, Sean is playing 2 tennis matches either. Wins or lose, the probability wins the first match is 0.6, and the probability wins the second is 0.7. He outcomes the 2 matches are independent. Use this information to complete the thing. Okay, I had to leave the last time. It's been like a day or two. The timer got all fucked up. I don't know what the time was exactly. It was around 13, so I'm you know, within reason. I think that's okay. I'll just add 13. Yeah, be fine. Look, we're just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. Sean was playing 2 things. He either wins or loses each match. Probability, 0.6 for the first one. The probability he wins the second is 0.7. Okay, the outcomes of the 2 matches are independent. Use this information to get the probability. Okay, so just fill in all the shit, I'm assuming. We get the probability for each outcome and write it in the appropriate box. So this would have to be 0.4 because they add up to 1. This would be 0.3 because that adds up to 1. This would be 0.7. And then you multiply them as you go. So this would be 0.18. This would be 0.28. And to check, they should all add up to 1. That would be 60 and that would be 40. Yeah. Based on the tree diagram, what is the probability he wins at least once? So that means it could be this one, or this one. So it's 0.88. because you have to add them because it's or, so you have to plus them. Sarah's also playing tennis. Each time Sarah plays a service game, the probability she wins is 0.78. Assume that winning each game is independent. What's the probability she will lose her next one? Just this, I guess. What is probably the first service game that Sarah loses? It's her third service game. So that means she would win, lose. So that means 0.78 times 0.78 times 0.22. And my calculator is here. Corrected 3 decimal places would be 0.134 if you round it. First, let me just make sure. First that she loses is the third one. Yeah, so she wins the first two. Child's football is in the shape of a sphere and has a diameter of 18. What's the volume? Well, the radius would be 9. Volume of a sphere is, I think, 4 over 3 pi or cubed. But obviously we're going to change it to 4 over 3 pi 9 cubed. Isn't that right? 4 over 3. I think that's chill, but we'll see. 4 over 3 pi 9 cubed. In terms of pi, okay. 972. That's 972 pi. I didn't like how I wrote the first bit. Centimeters cubed. An adult's football is in the shape of a sphere and has a volume of this much. What is its radius? So we have to do the same but backwards. So I'm going to say 4 over 3 pi or cubed. But this time we know the answer should be this. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4 over 3 pi. 5424.6 divided by it would be or cubed is equal to that 1295-ish number, and then we get the cube root of both sides. Oh, good. I pressed something wrong on the calculator. Now I pressed something wrong on the calculator, but I think it's 10.9 to 1 decimal place. Hopefully me pressing stuff wrong didn't fuck it up. The expected goals is a method used to measure the probability a particular type of shot will score, result in a goal. During a game, the team had 15 shots on target. The shot on goal, the statistician gave each shot a probability of resulting in a goal as shown in the table below. 6 of the shots at a 10%, 5% at a 20%, I think, is what they're saying. Use this information to work out the expected value. Yep. So we multiply each by its outcome. So 6 by 0.1. 5 by 0. Now you could do 20% on the calculators that you guys have nowadays. In the old days we had to do it like this, but instead of 0.4, for example, you could just write 40% and that would also work, so that would be fine. But this way I just have to do it because I'm old. We add all them together, we get 3.5. Yep. Table below shows the number of private cars sold in 2023 to the nearest 100, broken down by fuel type. It also shown a percentage of these cars that were each fuel type, corrected 2 decimal places in the size of the angle that would represent each fuel type in a pie chart. Sick. Complete the table above by working out the 2 missing percentages for diesel and for hybrid, and the size of the 2 missing angles. Okay, so just fill in the boxes. Give each corrected 2 distant places and give the size of each angle correct nearest degree. Alright. Okay, so there's 117,400, so it's going to be 25,900 over 117,400 multiplied by 100. And it's at the 2 decimal places, so that would be 22.06. And then we do the same up here. It'd be 313. Maybe 25.81. And would they all add up? We need like 2, then that would be, yeah, sure. And the angle they would make in a pie chart, well, that one is 22.06%, so it needs to be 22.06% of 360 degrees. I forgot the percent button. And they want that to the nearest degree, they said, so 79 degrees. And then this one would be, instead of 2206, 2581. And that would be 93 degrees, the nearest degree. Some 196 plus 79 plus 119. Now they don't add up to 360, so I've clearly done something wrong. Okay, that bit's right. Then 25.81 is correct. Excuse me, heavens. 2206 is correct. 22.06 multiplied by 79. And then this would be, oh, I picked the wrong number that time. That's what I did. I picked the wrong number. So this shouldn't be 93. I picked this number and got the 93 a second time. This should be 69. To nearest degree is 69 actually, so that's fine. So 69 plus 93 plus 79 plus 119, and that does add up to 360. Cool. Use this. I was afraid this was going to happen. Now I'm going to have obviously difficulties doing this. You're going to have to allow me some leeway. 79 degrees would be like 80 degrees. That would be like 90. That would be 180. But we need to go to 200, we'll say. So it needs to be kind of like, yeah, you're going to have to just trust me that I would be able to do this if I had the actual thing. So I do 80. And I do diesel. It wasn't 80 though, was it? It was like, I spelled diesel RSYs, I believe. Yeah, it was 79. And it's diesel. 69 for fully electric. So 69 would be like 70 degrees. We say that's 200, so 290. So, or 270. Okay, so it should be kind of like close enough to straight down actually. 69, and that was hybrid. And then the last one would be, oh no, that's fully electric. Sorry, my bad. Fully electric. And then this one is hybrid with its 93. Now, that one's going to be slightly off. I can't do anything with that, I suppose. Scatter plot shows the fuel efficiency of 10 popular petrol car types and their engine sizes. There's a correlation between engine size and fuel efficiency. I would hope people were okay with this. Strong negative. Explanation decreasing. Tightly packed is kind of what they use. Close to a straight line. Okay. Sometimes it will do numbers there, and that's what I kind of get them ready for. Tom says the coefficient of two sets of data is 5. Why is he not correct? Has to be in between -1 and 1. So Tom is stupid. Random sample of 1. Oh, sick. I'm glad this came up. I went through this with... I didn't go through this with everybody, but 815 cars squared 100... 1 over square root of 815 multiplied by 100 to one decimal place is 3.5. 106 out of the thing, so 106 over 815 would be 13%. And then it doesn't actually ask us for a confidence interval, but I'm just going to write it so I don't have to keep looking back and forth. It would be 9.5 to 16.5. What would they do that in ordinary level like this, maybe? I don't know. 19.2% of all the cars bought were electric. A reporter claimed that the proportion of new electric cars being bought in 2024 was different to 2023. use your answers from above. We can say that he actually might be onto something, because 19.2 is crazy compared to the numbers that we have. We've said in between 9.5 and 16.5, so 19.2 is batshit, so it must have been something changed, and it's not that they're just close enough that they can do whatever. So the calculations would be, here they wanted you, I suppose, to do the 9.5 and the 16.5%. It never says state your hypotheses, I suppose, so you technically don't have to, you'd say H naught, 19, or, it has changed. That's why they probably didn't do it. It's probably, there was no number for it. It has changed. They kind of went into a bit more of the theory of it there, actually, which they don't normally do for ordinary levels, so I have to actually take that into account from now on. It hasn't. I'm realizing now that technically the way they do that in the Leaving Cert, they should be the other way around, shouldn't they? Yeah, they should be the other way around. That should be H1, that should be H naught. No, the way they say it, a reporter claimed that the proportion of new cars bought was different. It depends. I don't know what way they want to do this, but in my mind, it doesn't matter which way around it is. I think they teach you guys to do it a certain way just so that it's the same each time. But the answer here is that it has changed. So regardless of which one you label it, you're going to go with that one. Conclusion, we're going to say it has changed. Now they get a bit finicky with the language here, so technically you should say, we can't say he's wrong. Rather than we say he's right, we just say you can't say he's wrong. And why 19.2% is not in our confidence interval. Now again, you put more English on that. I don't want to write on this. This bit is, this is what I didn't do. Hypotheses is probably different, and also they are going a bit more into the theory, as I said, so I'm going to have to try do that, I guess, in the future. We'll see how the ordinaries actually handle it. Claudia's making a wooden table for her woodwork class. A triangle, there's a scale diagram on the table. On the diagram, we'll construct the midpoint of the side AB. If using measurements and calculations, so you could have done it using the centroid and ordinary level, really. So what you had to do was, they said if you use, so they were letting you measure it, but what I would do is put your compass here, draw like this kind of thing here, put your compass here, draw like this, and then do like boop, 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 and we'd say this is the midpoint. And then to make the centroid, you need to join each corner to the opposite side halfway mark. So if we did it here, it would be like this, and we would join it like so. I fucked it up slightly, my diagram's not perfect, but that would be where the centroid is. I know it's hard to see where it's all just blue. With pencil, you'd have a better idea of doing it, in all honesty, on a piece of paper. But yeah, that's both of them done. Finn's making a pair of triangle tables, one bigger than the other. Bigger table is an enlargement, the smaller one. I didn't do enlargements with anyone. The scale factor of the enlargement is K. The longest side of the table is 45, the longest side of the smaller tab is 36. So we do 45 divided by 36. And when you do that on a calculator, you do in fact get that to be 5/4, which if you press SD is 1.25. The shortest side of the smaller thing is, work at the length of the shortest side of the bigger table, so you'd multiply 25.5 by 1.25. And what did it say? Correct to one decimal place, 31.9, I guess. And the area of the bigger table is this. Use K equals to find the smaller one. So we do 724. But we have to do 724 divided by 1.25 squared. Okay. Correct and nearest is 463 centimeters squared. Table used for a cookery demonstration is the shape of a sector of a circle with a radius of 160. Okay, the table has a teacher section, demonstration section, and a work section. Okay, sure. Shaded areas workstation that has a width of 40. Work at the area of the workstation. This is going to be this past question and the one before it have been quite difficult for ordinary level standards, I'll be honest. So there's a formula in your log tables for this that is, it's like pi r squared theta over 360. And what you'd have to do is do it for 160 and then minus the 141. So we'd have to do I was trying to think of a quicker way of doing it. I think I'm not gonna bother. It was too difficult for me to just kind of get on the moment. So it'd have to be 250 over 360. And then minus pi of 120 squared, because it's the difference between the 160 and the 40. Yeah, I could have done it. It wouldn't have really made. Well, I don't know. I'm just talking shite. Well, you guys don't know what I'm doing, but I was just thinking of quicker ways of doing it. 161 is the thing. Yeah. I think I've typed that in right, and I got 2, 4, 4, 3, 5 if we round to the nearest one. Yeah. Okay. It seems weird. The numbers are massive there for ordinary level, so it seems like I might have done something wrong. Each participant needs at least 60 centimeters along the outer circumference to carry out food preparation. What's the maximum number who can attend the demonstration? So they need 60. We need to figure out what this length is. There's another formula in your log tables that is 2 pi or theta over 360. So what we would do is we'd say 2 pi 160 times 250 over 360 again, because they can't be on the dotted line, I'm assuming. So that would be like so. And we would say that the outside bit is 698.13, we'll say, but we need to divide that by 60 to find out how many people can safely fit around it. And it's 11.6, but that means we have to do 11, even though you would think to round up. We have to, because you can't have, the 0.6 implies there's like 40 centimeters, but we can't have that. We need 60, so it's 11. We have to round down weirdly. Again, something they wouldn't really have done in ordinary level before, I don't think. Ava, right, is a member of a swimming club. Sea swimming. The club has 6 markers in the water labeled A, B, C, D, E, F shown on the diagram. It's a 6-sided shape where AF is parallel to CD and AF is perpendicular to AC. Okay. Now, they didn't put that in the diagram, but they said it in the words, and people aren't reading the words. I'm kind of hoping that they would have spotted that. AB. They have all that in. I don't need to read. Well, I've read it. She swims from A to B to C to D to E to F and back to A. So all the way around the outside. Find the total distance she swims. Okay, so that's going to be 1,100. Sick. The size of the angle is 110. Work out the area correct in nearest meter squared of the triangle. That is the area of the shaded thing. So there's again another formula in your log tables. That's a half. Well, you don't need the brackets, I suppose. Half AB sine C, which for us would be a half. 150, 200 sine of 110. So that's going to be that seems like a massive number, but okay. To the nearest meter squared, I suppose it's just going to be a massive number. 150, 200 and the 110 are all correct. The formula is correct. I think that yeah, okay, we're just going to have to live with that. She swims from A to C. Use the cosine rule. It told you, okay, to work out the distance from A to C. At this, that was 110, that was 150, that was 200. Cosine rule would say that, let's call this x, then it would be x squared is equal to 150 squared plus 200 squared minus 2 times 150 times 200 cos 110, and then we can just slap all that down. 150 squared plus 200 squared. Oh, okay. I found a new button on the calculator. Okay. So then x squared is equal to 83,021.2086, which you have to remember that's not the final answer, it's the square root, because we don't want squared. And then it says correct nearest meter would be 288. That's an 8, but I'll get rid of it because I didn't like it. 288 meters. And so always work out the total area of the water enclosed by the 6 markers. Okay, well, what I'm assuming they want you to do is draw a line straight down here, make a rectangle, and then the rectangle would be 200 multiplied by that. This triangle on the left is the exact same as this one on the right, then I'm assuming. Yeah, because they have side, 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 they're congruent, so we can say we could just double this one. So 28, 190 for the two triangles. 28, what did I say, 190? I can't remember. 28, 190. Yeah. For the two triangles, and then we have to do also 288 multiplied by 200 for the rectangle bit in the middle. So that's 57,600. $85,790 meters squared. Point A is the nearest point to the shore, and it's the start and the end. Cool. We'll see how many routes you could swim, starting at A by swimming to each of the 5 markers once and only once, and finishing at A. For example, she could do A, E, C, F, D, B. Give another example. Literally just swapping them around would work. Work out how many routes are possible. Well, there's 5 that can go in this box, 4 that can go in this box, then 3, and then 2, and then 1. So it would be 120 when you multiply those. 5 factorial. 624. Yeah, on a particular day, she wants to start a day, swim to 2 markers other than A, and then return to A. For example, she could swim this route. How many are possible here? Well, this could be 5 and this could be 4, so that would be 20. Okay, so that wasn't... Yeah, for an ordinary paper, that was actually quite difficult for an ordinary paper, I'll be honest with you. Not difficult, just quirky. They did some weird things. They kind of actually put some nuance on it, which I'm kind of happy for, because normally for ordinary level, they just kind of tell you, they kind of... I feel like they treat you as stupid, or they just kind of say, do this, alright? Which I don't really like. The enlargement is good to see that it's actually back, and the construction is strange. I thought they were just kind of done, but now I can actually tell people to do it. Like, they put some nuance in here where you have to actually think about that answer, instead of just doing it out. They changed this. Normally it'd be a number, but they actually swapped it around and asked questions about it. Pie chart is the pie chart. Expected value was worded weird, but I think they did that on purpose to try to make people who like football get involved. Very standard area and volume, standard probability, tree diagram is standard, so that would have been nice. This bit, people should have been okay with question 6, I think. That one, there was a few tricks to it, but again, standard question, it's just tricky. This was... I'm trying to remember, this was yesterday I did this, so this was okay, it was fine. There was a couple of bits that wouldn't normally come up, but again, they're technically, it's okay, it's on the course, there's no tricks, it was just unusual. Yeah, they put a bit of flair into this for once, which I'm happy to see, because it shows they actually care and not just like writing them off as idiots. Trigonometry, yeah, okay. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It was tougher than normal, I would argue, but not a huge amount, just because they swapped things around and made them weirder than normal. Okay. Now I have to do that. Okay, so let's see what this shit is about. This is the toughest one for me. I think paper 2. Honors, I'm not as big a fan, I'll be honest with you. So, well, okay, again, I always kind of tell you they start off with something nice to kind of warm you up, get you into it. That's kind of okay. That would just be sub them both in. If it's on the line, we should be able to sub it in and everything should work out. Find the value of p, that would be 18 minus 18, so p is minus 6. Isn't that right? Minus 10, that would be 18. You move it over, make it minus 18 divided by 3 be minus 6. The line has this equation. This line has this equation. Write the size of the acute angle between the two lines. My log tables, just to make sure I have the pluses. And, well, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, if I've done the right way around. So we're going to do... The slope of this is minus a third. The slope of this one is 2 over 5. Yeah, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say minus 1 over 3 minus 2 over 5 over 1 plus the two of them multiplied together, so it's going to be minus 2 over 15. I suppose I can just try that in the calculator, actually. That's not too bad. It looks complicated, but at least you can just... It's all numbers. There's no bullshit shenanigans. Technically, I know people probably didn't like that one. Because people aren't happy with that one, but it is just numbers at the end of the day, so hopefully that kind of calms things down. So that would be minus 11 over 13. Now we have to do tan inverse of that, and we get minus 40 to the nearest degree, so that means that the acute angle would be 40. The minus 40 technically means 140. Yeah. A line cuts the x-axis at this point and the y-axis at this point. The slope of the line is this. The area of the triangle enclosed by this line, the x-axis and the y-axis, is 12. There are two different lines to satisfy this equation, or these conditions. Find the equations of each of these lines. It might be useful to draw a diagram. You're damn right it might be useful. So let's say that is going to be B, and that's going to be A. The line is like this. It has a slope of minus 2 over 3, which is meaning it's going down, which is chill. So the area of this is what they're saying. Now, basically I could do half base by height, and I know that this is the height of B and a base of A, but that would give me that the area of the triangle is just a half AB, and they told us the answer is 12. Now, the problem is that's two letters, so we need to make a second equation so that we can do simultaneous equations in a second. I'm just going to clarify that that means that that is true. We're going to use... we could just make the equation of that line, I suppose. We could use the slope formula if you want to be a knob about it. Oh yeah, we'll just do that. We'll just do the slope. The slope should be... Yeah, I'm a knob. Yeah, the slope... the slope should be y2 minus y1, so it'll be b minus 0 over 0 minus a, which would mean the slope is minus b over a. But they told us the slope is minus 2 over 3. So that means we know that 3b is equal to 2a. And that's our guy then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I guess I'll do it here. B is equal to 2a over 3. So that means here I'm going to say that a multiplied by 2a over 3 is equal to 24. That'd be a squared is equal to 36, so a is equal to 6. Or minus, so it's going to be plus or minus 6 because you have to do a square root, and that's what it's 2. And then that means that b is equal to plus or minus 4. Because the 6 would be divided by 3, make it 2, 2 by 2 is 2. So then, the equations of there are two to find the equations, so A is either going to be, so it's going to be 6 and 0, and then B would be 0 and 4, or A is minus 6 and 0, and B is 0 minus 4. Does that make sense if I was to draw it out? Because then that would be 6, 0, that would be 0 and 4, which makes sense. But if that was 0 minus 4, it'd be down here. then the thing would be up here. Yeah, okay, so it could also look like this, just for clarity's sake, because that would also have a negative slope, and they'd be finding this triangle instead, so that's fine. The equation of those lines would both be y equals minus 2 over 3x plus 6, and y equals minus 2 over 3x minus 6. I've done that arseways, that's supposed to be the 4. I apologize to everyone involved. But yeah, the slope is still minus 2 over 3. The y-intercept is 4. The y-intercept is minus 4. Those are your two equations. Right in the center and the radius, really? 4 and minus 2. In an honors question, that's crazy. The square root of 45 is 3 root 5, I think, because it's 9 times 5, yeah. Find the equation of the tangent 2s at the point... find the equation of the tangent to the circle s, yeah, at the point this. Well, we need to find the slope. We need to find the slope of that tangent, but we can't do that, so we find the slope of the radius comes out to meet it. The slope of that would be a half. So as it goes from minus 2 to 4, it goes up 6, and it goes up 3. Yeah, it'd be a half, I think. So the perpendicular slope would be minus 2, but then we would say that y plus 5 equals minus 2x plus 2. So we'd say y is equal to minus 2x minus 9, I think. Circle T is this equation where k is a constant. The horizontal line y equals k is a tangent to the circle. Find two possible values of k. Wow, okay. So... yeah, okay. There's a couple of ways of doing this. You could just bare bones do it as, you know, the tangents have to be horizontal lines, so you know they have to be both from here to here and here to here. We know the center of this would be minus 14, 23, which is bizarrely big numbers for this, but yeah, we know that's what the center is. So we know that 23 is, y equals 23 is this one. So we can say, bizarrely, oh, it's not necessarily, yeah, okay, it's only one of the, okay, yeah, it can't be both, sorry, my logic was flawed there. I was assuming there was both possible, but you can't have both. It can only be one because k is a very specific constant. That's on me, so we can't do it that way. But then we'll just have to do the radius then is 196 plus 529 minus k is the radius. And then we can say that 23, it could be plus or minus. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense because it's 2. 23 plus or minus the radius. No, am I? That'd be the radius. We know it's 23. 23 plus the radius has to give us k. I think that's legit. I think that's a legit statement to make. Let me just think though. Because either it's above or either it's below with my logic, but it could be just a different circle entirely. But I think we can say one of these has to be true. Why couldn't it be though? The radius, let me just make sure I got the radius right. 409 and 120, yeah, 529, 14, yeah. Minus k, yeah. So that's definitely what the radius is. So we can say r squared is equal to that if we wanted to be weird about it. Oh, we could just do the perpendicular distance, could we, to the line? That's to equal the radius. Yeah, we could do that. That's probably... Is that safer than what I'm doing? I think I just end up with 23 plus or minus. Or, no? I could just do the perpendicular distance, play it safe. I'll just do the perpendicular distance, I suppose. Even though that just feels wrong, though. This would be minus y plus k equals 0. Or y minus k, I guess I could just do. Y minus k equals 0. So then the x bit would fuck off, because there's no x. But then the b, so it'd be 1 times minus 14 plus c, which would be minus k, over the square root of 1 is equal to the radius. This isn't... It feels weird. Like, okay, so I'm just assuming I can't use this. That logic was just... There's something fishy about that, but I feel like there's also something there. The perpendicular distance, if we did the... use the tangent, and we use the center, it should give us the... Oh, I didn't use the center, like a... No, I did. I used it wrong, though. That's what I did. Yeah, it shouldn't have been minus 14. It should have been 23. Yeah, because 0 by the minus 14 would go away. 1 by 23 would be 23. Minus k is minus k, all over the square root of 0 squared plus 1 squared, square root of 1, which is just 1, which can all just fuck off. So we end up with the square root, or the modulus of 23 minus k is equal to or. But then I'm going to change it. I wasn't a million miles off with this thing over here, is what I'd say. But there's just something I'm not comfortable with. So technically 23 minus k in the modulus is equal to the square root of... I never added those, I suppose. That would be 725 minus k instead of the or. It's not right. I added on 200 to get 729. I took away 4. Yeah. Then square both sides, because then that would just turn into 725 minus k. But this would turn into 529 minus 46k plus k squared. So you end up with k squared minus 45k, excuse me, minus 196 equals 0. Now that could be 4 and 49. So be k minus 49, k plus 4 equals 0. So k is either equal to 49 or k is equal to minus 4. Just out of curiosity, would my thing have worked? Oh, I'm not going to go into it now, but yeah, that's the safest way. That's the safest way. If I did k was... Okay, I'm my own curiosity is getting the better of me. 7 square root of 729 would be 27. Yeah, I think I was cooking. I think I was cooking now, in fairness. That would have been 725, which would have been 26. Yeah, there's logic to what I was doing. It just seems wrong. This bit just seemed wrong, but there's actually logic. My numbers, those numbers would have worked for that. Okay. Alright, I'm content with myself. I kind of took a bit longer doing that than I would hope, but I think I was kind of straddling two different ways. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I made a mistake and it's just all horribly wrong. 250 people were surveyed about 3 countries which they've been to. In this question, event A is the event that the person picked at random from the 240 people who've been to countries. Yeah, obviously. Show the probability of A is a quarter. 23 and 13 is 36, and 6 is 42, and 18 is 60, so it'd be 60 over 240, and if we do that in the calculator, we do get 1 over 4. That's really easy, so I'm assuming that the next bit is going to be using that. Verify that for the rules in this diagram, the union of A and C, yeah, they were just kind of setting up to do this. So, you know, that's 1 over 4 for the A part. C is going to be 50, 60, 76 over 240. The intersection of A and C is going to be 19 over 240. And the union is going to be 60 added to 57, 117 over 240. Then it would be 60 and 76 is 136. I've done something wrong there, I think. Let me just check. I think I've added something wrong. 1 over 4 plus 76 over 240 minus 19 over 240 is 39 over 80. Oh, no, it's fine. The other one's also 39 over 80. It didn't look right to me. 136. Because that's 60. If we had 76 and 60. Oh, okay. No, it's actually chill. Okay, 1, 3. Yeah. Are A and B independent events? Well, that means we should be able to multiply the two in a probability to get the intersection. So A, we know is a quarter. B, we don't know yet. That's going to be 22, 40, 96 over 160. Did I say 96? Yeah, 40, 96. And then the intersection would be 24 over 160. So we're hoping that this is true. But that would break down to 3 over 20, I think, because you could divide both of them by 8. Yeah. And then if we do that on this side, that would be 24 over 160. That would also be 3 over 20. Yeah, I'm going to say yes. Because of this. They're equal. Yeah. 2 of the 240 people I picked at random, I had the probability that one of them had been to all 3 countries and that the other had been to none. So they didn't necessarily say in order. So we have to do both. Which is, I think it's just the same doubled, right? But the probability that one had been to all 3 would be 6. 6 out of 160. And then none at all was, what was it, 67. I was going to say 63. And the other one had been to none, so 67. Right, so we'd have to multiply them. But then we're going to have to double that because basically it's the other way around as well. We could do it where it's 67 over 160 is the first person. Alright, I fuck these up sometimes, so I'm hoping that's right. Give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. The 201 over 400 simple for you. One had been to all 3 and the other had been to none. 6, 67. Twist around for the other way around. Okay. The ages are 12. The median is 17.5. Find the value of x. Well, there's 12, so it's 2, 4, 6. So it's what's halfway between this, so that's 17. First quartile is 13. Work out the interquartile ranges. So that was the 13. This one would be 20.5. And then the interquartile range is minusing them, so it would be 7.5. Yep. Michael finds the mean and the median of a list of 10 numbers. He then changes the biggest number of the list to make it even bigger. Will this change the mean, the median, or both? It wouldn't change the median, but it would change the mean. Justification, median is still in the middle. Median still in the middle. Still middle, because the biggest one is just bigger. mean is different sum. The mean comes from the sum of all the numbers, so that's why that one would change. Because you're adding different numbers together. Using mid-interval values, the mean was base. Oh, okay, do this backwards. Alright then. Yeah, it's just going to be hefty algebra, like a lot of it. It's problem is I'd have to remember this from not necessarily junior cert, but it's not so, it's not something that we would have focused on too much in honors leaving cert, but we do have to still do it. I'm not going to write all them out, you know where I'm going with this. So 27 times 4 is 108, and then 33 times 5 is 165, and then that's going to be 39 times 9, which is 351, I think, 351. And then we'll skip k, and we're going to say that is 51 times 4, which is 204, and then we're going to say 57 times 2, which is 114. They were nice with the numbers, I'll be honest. So it's going to be, that's all going to work out to be 942 plus 45k, and we'd have to have divided it by 24 plus k, because that's all the numbers on the bottom added together. I think 9 is 18, 20, 24, yeah. And they told us that they got 40.4. To just turn this into algebra, summing that up, 40.4 multiplied by 24. Oh, is a decimal, which I knew that, I just don't want it to be. So it'd be 942.45. Oh no, it's sorry, plus 45k is equal to 969.6 plus 40.4k. We bring that over, so it would be that minus 942. And then we would divide that by 4.6, and we get 6. K is equal to 6. Okay, that's a nice number. It's these were all fairly simple stats for honors. Like question 4 should have been that. Okay, that seems like not an ordinary level question, just a more nuanced ordinary level. Diagram shows two triangles. Sees the midpoint of A to B. AD is parallel to BE, and the point C lies on DE. Prove that the two triangles are congruent. Well, they said C is the midpoint, so we can say AC equals CB as midpoint. Because this is parallel to this, we can actually say this angle matches with this one because of the Z's. So we can say the angle. Oh yeah, well that wouldn't. Oh, we'll just use this one. Yeah, we'll use. Yeah. No, I'm being stupid. So we can say the way you'd write that is DAC is equal to EBC, we'll say. You can say that a different way, but that's the way I'm going with it. EBC, because Z-shape alternating angles is the official name I would use there, and then I would say ACD is equal to ECB. Because of the X shape, or vertically opposite angles, but that would be a side in between two angles, so I've written it wrong, but it should technically be ASA, therefore they are congruent. Is that it? Really? The parallelogram, this is the honors, the parallelogram PQRS is shown on the right, point lies on the line PQ is shown. It's an enlargement. Again, enlargements is something that I was just saying, it's so rare that it comes up, but there we go. X to Q is 8, and Q to Q dash is 4. Q prime, show that the scale factor of enlargement is K. Well, that means if this from here to here is 8, this from here to here is 12, so we just do 12 divided by 8. It's 1.5. I would think they're trying to hope to confuse people by, they would just say 8 divided by 4, or no, that wouldn't work either. Never mind. It confused me in a way that they weren't hoping to confuse people. But they're shown again in this diagram on the right. Y is the point where the lines intersect. The region is shaded. X to P is 3. The area of P, now that's intriguing. So this is 3. And it's 1.5 over here then. because we'd have to multiply by 1.5. When we multiply by 1.5, this would be 4.5, but that means that's 1.5. They tell us the area of P, Q, or S, the entire parallelogram, is 20. And we know that x to q is 8. That's what they want us to use. X to q is 8. So that means from here to here is 5. And here to here is 3.5. That's what we needed, I think. Yeah. We didn't need the 3.5 actually. The area PQRS is 20 and we only needed the 5. So the area of a parallelogram is height by base, basically. It's technically in the front of your log tables. Yeah, they use A and H, but yeah, base by height, right? So what they're saying is when they got the area of the full rectangle, they did 5 times something, so it must have been 5 times 4, so that would have been a 4. But then if they want the area of just the shaded bit, which is what they do want, it would be 3.5 times 4, which would be 14. Yeah, okay, I can see some shenanigans. I don't think people would have liked that question, because enlargements isn't something we really do in... Okay, in question 6, normally geometry. Okay, the geometry question was fairly simple, but it was tricky because they did enlargements and stuff that isn't really done in honours. It's not focused on. Find all 6 solutions in between minus 360 and 720. Okay, now I did mention to some of them that you might have to go backwards sometimes, so hopefully they copped onto that, but we'll see. Sine is going to be here and here. Sine inverse, so my reference angle is going to be 30. I should write that in the box technically, I suppose. And then we would say that we're going to have A is equal to 30 plus 360n. And A is equal to 150 plus 360n. And then we'd have to do n is equal to, so n is equal to 0, so we'd get 30 and 150. N is equal to 1, and it would give us 390 and 510, which are actually both legit because they're still within under 720. If we did n equals 2, it wouldn't work because we'd end up with 750, which is no bueno, so we don't want that. So we actually have to do n equals minus 1. And we'd end up with minus 330 and minus 210, I think. Yeah, bit dodgy there, bit dodgy. I assume most people get 4 out of 6 anyway, so that's not too bad. Oh, okay. It's the following function where it's in radians, thank you, and modulus. But write down the period and the range of fx. That's a bit of a bitch move now, in fairness to people. So, because it is 4 sine x, so normal sine graph has a range of 1 and minus 1, so the range here be 4 and minus 4. But the modulus makes it so that it will always be 4 and 4. Well, like 4 and 0, we'll say. Sorry, I should have said. Because instead of it should start at 0, go up to 4, and down to 4, like this. But because of the modulus bars, it actually changes, so it goes down. And then instead of going down, it's all just up again. The reason why this one is under the graph is because of the minus 1. So that means this here is minus 1. And instead of being up at 4, this is now at 3. So the range is 3 and minus 1. The period, because it's still an x here, the period is still going to be 360 or 2 pi because we're in radians. I lied to you, actually. It's not going to be, because here is where 2 pi would be. But you notice due to the nature of the modulus, the period is actually here, because this is how long it takes before it starts repeating itself. Intriguing. I've never seen one like that before, but... Oh, and it's quite short. Okay. Bit of a dick move to put the modulus in there. I don't know whether people would kind of interpret from all the different bit parts that I've said. In the triangle, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Use the cosine. They told you to find the value of tan without using a calculator. How bizarre. So what we would say is 4 is equal to 25 minus 24 cos B. and then that would be minus 21, so that would be 7 over 8 is what cos B is. But we want tan, but we need to make a right angle triangle. There's B, cos is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, so 7 over 8. If we do Pythagoras, we can figure out what the other guy is, so that would be square root of 17, I think, is over here. Square root of 17. Because it'd be 64, take away 49 is 17, yeah, square rooted. And then tan is the opposite over the adjacent, so we can say tan of B go to square root of 17 over 7. Now I did run through that part with them. It's whether they could spot from the cosine rule to make the thing in the first spot. Difficult, but not difficult. You can see the maths is actually extremely easy to do. It's just to cop to do that would have been extremely difficult. So, okay, trigonometry, I ran through everything. I ran through all of that with all my people, but there's so many twists to it. I don't know how people handled it. Below is the scale diagram of a sub. The body of the submarine is roughly in the shape of a cylinder with a cone at one end and a hemisphere at the other end is shown. Measure labels. Measure lengths. Measure it? Okay, well, I can't do that, so I'm going to have to just... I'll just guess. Let's say it's like 1. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. I could say 10 times, would say roughly. Then H would be maybe 3. I don't know what those numbers are. I do apologize. The actual total length of the submarine on the scale diagram is 90 meters. Use the measurements from your part A to work out the actual lengths represented by R, D, and H. So it's a ratio situation. So what we can say is altogether that should be 14. So I would do 90 divided by 14. I pressed the wrong thing. Okay. Give each correct to 1 decimal. So I would say if my ratio is right, now my numbers here are going to be wrong because I did bullshit. So this would be correct to 1 decimal place. This would be 6.4. This would be 64.3, and then this one would be 19.3. Yeah, so mine might be slightly off because I just measured in my head 110 and 3, but on the real page it might have been something different. I can just zoom in and out, and I could measure it with a ruler, I guess. I just didn't think to do it. I just found the ratios. Did I add up? That would be 70, 20. Yeah, they add up to 90, so that's fine. You'll have to allow me that one, I'm afraid. The diagram below shows the body of a different submarine with a similar design. The dimensions of the submarine are also given in terms of x. Thank you. The hemisphere and the cylinder and the cone all have a radius of x. Yes, we can see that. The submarine has a volume of this much. Correct the nearest thing by solving an equation. X find the total length of the submarine. You son of a bitch. So, because we know the full volume, we're going to have to find the volume of all the different parts. For a hemisphere, it's 2 over 3 pi r cubed. That's going to be x cubed. For a cylinder, it's going to be pi r squared h. And for the cone, it's going to be a third, well, am I right? Third pi r squared h. Okay, yeah. A third pi r squared, and then h is 4x. And all of that will be equal to 6738. I just need to tidy this up a bit. They all have a pi in it, so that's fine. I can just do that afterwards. They're all going to be x cubed, so that's chill as well. So that's going to be 2 over 3 plus 1 over 3. No, plus 4 over 3. So that would be 2. So that's going to be 9 pi x squared, I think. 9 pi x cubed, sorry, misspoke. That'd be x cubed, that'd be x cubed, that'd be x cubed, that'd be pi, that'd be 4 over 3, 4 over 3, and 2 over 3, 6 over 3, which is 2, and then 7 makes 9. So I'm going to do 6738 divided by 9 pi is 238, and then cube root that answer, which means that x I'm going to get is 6.2. I'm going to say. It's so close. Normally I wouldn't say round here because it's not the final answer, but it's so close. Well, I guess I could just multiply this by 12, actually, never mind, because they want the length of the sub, and I know what x is, so, okay. So the full length should be, correct to one decimal place, 74.4 meters, which is what I would have got even if I did round. That was weird, but okay. It was ratios. That was weird, but it was okay. Again, a lot of the math seems to be handy. It's just so strange. Not too strange though. Not bad strange. Just kind of unusual. I'm not giving out about it at all. Submarine is within 58 or square root of 58 kilometers of point A, and is within. There's a lot of words here. People were not going to be happy with this. Just for me to be is 20. A and B and the submarine are all at the same depth. It's represented on a coordinate diagram. Points are shown below. Part of the circles K and S are shown where K is a center, 0, 0, radius. Yeah, okay. So they're telling us it's circles because they probably want us to use that kind of mathematical kind of stuff. The circles intersect at points C and D. Submarine is in the shaded region, the region that is inside both circles. Write in the equation of the circle S. Okay. Yeah, it's weird they're going back to circles. They've never really done that before. Normally circles would just be on its own as a one-off thing. So am I right in saying that right in the equation of the circle S, it is done on the right. It does have a center 20 and 0. It does have a radius of 178, so we squared it. The point C is 7, 3. And the point D is 7 minus 3. By using your answer from above or otherwise verify that 7, 3 lies on the circle. Okay, so we just sub it in. So we'd end up with 7 minus 20 squared plus minus 3 squared. That would be minus 13 squared, which would be 169. 169 plus 9, which is equal to 178. We've done it. By using these to find the area of the triangle DBC. Okay, now, technically you could do the thing of moving one of the points to 0, 0. For example, you take away 20 from all of them and use it, but we can also just use a half base by height, because we know the height here goes from 3 to minus 3, so the height is 6. And we know that from here to here is 13. So it should be 39. Not right, 7 to 20 is 13. They did ask for DBC. So it'd be 13 times the height, which would be from 3 to minus 3 is 6, but we have to half it, so it'd be 3 times 13, which is 39. Find the size of the acute angle CBD. Okay, well I'm actually going to find CB this point, and then just double the angle, because it's congruency and all that type of lark. But then I would have just a right angle triangle with 3 and 13. 3, 13. I want this guy. So it would be tan inverse of, to the nearest degree, yep, tan inverse of 3 over 13. Correct nearest degree would be 13 degrees as well. I'm just going to go back and check, because when it said radians, I never actually took that into any sort of mathematical consideration. Oh, I did, because I said pi, but I didn't change my calculator, is what worried me. Okay. Alright. Oh, no, I had to double this, of course, don't forget. 26 is the actual answer, because 13 was only the top half, but I wanted the full guy down here as well, so I had to double it. CBD, I think that's what it was. CBD, yes sir. That was very similar to another triangle earlier where Joan or something was playing golf. The area of the sector ADC is this. ADC, okay. The area of the triangle ADC is 21. Okay. Using this, work out the area of the shaded region or that is inside both circles. Okay. So we'd minus those two first off, so it'd be 2.4837 for half of it. We need to do the other side, but I'm assuming we're doing the other side with the same methodology, but we're not going to use their numbers, we're going to use the numbers we made. Because we already found out this side, we need to do this side. In order to do that side, we need to know the area of this sector and the area of this triangle. But we found the area of that triangle, didn't we? DBC, yeah, it was 39. So we just need to find the area of the sector and take it away. We can take away 39. The area of the sector is going to be pi r squared 26 over 36. The radius is 13, so it's going to be 169 times 26 over 360. It's not what the 26. It's a weird one. The maths is all strange, but it's actually very basic maths to do. Just spotting it was a strange one. So if I'm saying that's 13, and then I'm saying, oh, it's not 13 though. I just made a mistake. That is not going to be 169 because it's not 13. I did it from this blue point down, but I need to do it from this blue point down. So I need to find out the length of, let's say, D to B or C to B. That's shady. Unless I'm fucking it up twice, but I'm pretty sure that's what we have to do. So that's 20 and 0. So the distance from there to there would be square root of 100. Oh, we know that it's square root of 178 because that's what the radius is. So that would be 178. Okay, so they did actually tell me. I didn't need to figure that out. They told me the radius was the square root of 178. So I knew from here to here is 178. So we know from here is square root of 178. But in the area formula, we have to square it, so the square root is gone. Okay, that's not too bad. Now that's going to be this horrific number, and then we're going to take away 39 from that. And that's going to be, if I went to do that to 4 decimals as well, it would be 13869. And then we just add that to the 2.4837. And then they want to correct the 2 decimal places, so it would be 3.87 kilometers squared is the bit in the middle, I think. Roof is in the shape of a square base pyramid. A lot of 6 years did that this year, so that's okay. Square base, sides of length 6, the diagonals of A, B, C, D meet at the point O, top is directly above it. The 4 triangular faces are congruent to each other, with AP is 11, BP is 11, yeah. And they didn't put it in. They're all isosceles. Okay, use the theorem of Pythagoras to show that O to B is 3 root 2. So they told you to use Pythagoras, which is unusual, but because it's a square base, what we can say is if we looked at CO, it would be straight down from like a helicopter. It would be like, here's O, here's C, here's B, this would be 6, and we can say this is X, but this is also X because it's a square base, yes. So we'd have X squared plus X squared equals 36, just using Pythagoras. So then we'd end up with 2X squared is equal to 36, so X squared is equal to 18. And then we square root both sides. X equals square root of 18. Square root of 18 would be square root of 6 and square root of 3. Square root of 9, yeah, and square root of 2 is better though. 3 root 2, that's what they asked for. And hence find the value of O to P, the vertical height. So I'm assuming we're going to have to do Pythagoras again, because we know if we looked at the triangle POB, P-O-B, this would be 3 root 2, and they told us this was 11. Yeah, so we'd say that means that it would be 121 minus 18, right, which is the square root of 103. Because we want 11 squared is 121, take away that square to be 18, so 121 take away 18 is 103, and then we just square root it, but we can't do it, and they said give your answer in surd form. Okay, and the triangular face PAB, the size of the angle PAB is 74. Use this to find the total area. Okay, so it's just going to be 11 and 6 though, right? So it's going to be a half 11 6 sine 74.2. So it's going to be 33 sine 74.2. But I'm going to have to multiply that by 4 because it wants the total area of all 4. 127, correct, nearest meter squared. Okay, no decimals whatsoever. Diagram below shows part of the scale diagram of the net of this pyramid. The diagram shows the square base and two of the triangular sides. Construct the rest of the scale diagram of the net of the pyramid. Show all construction lines. Wow. Okay, so if they're going to do construction lines, what I was going to do is I'm going to be sneaky devil and do this one out here and then on this side as well, because that would be all four. What we might do is just using if they wanted to, if they say construction lines, what I imagine would be a nice way of doing it, put the compass, the pointy end here, and the nib part at one of these corners, and then just do like a weird kind of circular kind of shape around here. Now obviously this isn't going to be wonderfully accurate, but we'll live with it. And then what you would do is get your pointy end in here now and put the pencil end here and just swing it around an arc like this, and then join here to here, and then do the same here, put the pointy end here, swing it around like here, and that would be here, and then join all of these together. Is that it? There's only 5 sides. Yeah, the base and the okay. It was shady though, because that's not really a construction they teach you, unless I'm missing some way of doing it that would have been more normalized to what you are used to. In diagram on the right, BC is a flagpole. Yeah, perpendicular. Yeah. Ali measures the size of cab, the angle of elevation. She makes a mistake and measures the thing as 52, which is not correct. Work out her percentage error. Well, we'd have to do tan inverse of 17.5 over 15. And we would get 49.3987, we'll say. And we need to put her mistake on top, because we want the percentage error, so her mistake was 2.6013. We'll say 2.6013 over the answer, and then multiply by 100 to make it a percentage error, as opposed to a decimalized version, but that's okay. Correct one decimal place is 5.3%, so that's how much she was wrong by. Strange question, but again, it's all kind of simple maths that they're just checking you guys for. Ali's working out the height of a round tower. Of course, she measures the angle of elevation to the top of the tower. She then moves 10 meters away on horizontal ground, measures the angle of elevation. She measures both of these angles from a height of 1.25 meters. She draws the diagram below to show her measurements. 2 lengths X and H are shown in the diagram. Use the sine rule. They keep telling you what to use, which is very strange. Okay, use the sine rule to show that X is 25.5. So I suppose the reason they mention the sine rule is because there is shenanigans here where you'd have to remember that that's 145. And that means that that is 13. I think, yeah, because that would be 167, yeah. And then the sine rule means we have a side and angle opposite each other. So yeah, we'd have the 13 and the 10 across from each other. So I would say 10 on top over sine. Oh, excuse me. You could do this either way around though. It doesn't really matter, but I would have the sides on top. You could have the sines on top. It doesn't. It all works out to be the same. And they told you what the answer is. I guess they do that. So we could say 10 sine 145 over sine of 13. I'm definitely in degrees, and I'll press equals. And to 1 decimal place, yeah, I got 25.49, but that is 25.5. Hence find the total height of the tower marked H. Now what we can do is kind of join here to here and here to here and make one big ass right angle triangle where H is the opposite. And we have the hypotenuse and we have the angle of 22. We found out that this is 25.5. So it's just sin. So it'd be 25.5 divided by sine of 22. So the height would be 68. Now, this is dodgy because the height of the triangle is 68.07, but we have to add on her height of the 1.25 for here. So plus 1.25. That seems like massively high though. Correct 1 decimal place would be 63.9. Let me just make sure. So they said show that x is 25.5. We made a right angle triangle. This guy, 22. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Oh, I fucked it up. No, I did fuck it up. That's not right. The h there means height, not hypotenuse. Yup. So it would have been 25.5 sine 22. My apologies. And then that makes more sense. Yeah, and then plus the 125. They confounded me with the bullshit I warn you guys about all the time, and they got me with it. I'm so embarrassed. But that makes more sense. Yeah. So it's h over 25.5 is equal to sine. I had that upside down in my head because I assumed the hypotenuse goes on the bottom, and I forgot the h here doesn't stand for hypotenuse, it stands for height. I keep warning you guys about it, and here we go. Parts A and B of the question give answers correct to 4 decimal places where relevant. Assume that 6.7% of people in Ireland have diabetes. I don't know. Is it that high? For a particular test, each person either tests positive or negative. The probability someone who has diabetes gets the correct thing is 99%. Probability that someone who does not have diabetes gets an incorrect positive result, however, is a 7.8. One person has picked a random from the people in Ireland is tested for diabetes using this test, uses information to complete this. Yeah, same as the ordinary one, but just a bit more complicated. So this would be 0.933. Don't have it. Yeah. Now here this would be 0.922. Don't have it, and are told they don't have it. Here, the probability that someone has diabetes gets a correct result. So if they have diabetes and test positive is 0.99. So that means this is 0.01. And even if you couldn't spot that, you could probably multiply them out and just make sure. 0.067 multiplied by 0.99. It does in fact give you the 663, but there's one extra 3, but they did it to a decimal point. 0.67 multiplied by 0.01. Corrected. Oh, people weren't going to be happy with that. 0.0067, I think. It says 6.7 by 10 to the minus 3. So it means you move it once, 2, 3, yep. 0.933 times 0.078. I changed a lot of people's calculator, so I'm hoping that will have fixed that problem. I won't know though. And then this would be 0.8602, and we can add all of those just to make sure if we want to make sure that we're not fucking up. Yeah, there's about 1. Now, because of rounding, it's slightly off 1, but it's close enough. Use probabilities from above. Find the probability that the person picked at random tests positive for diabetes. So that would be this number and this number. So the 0.0728 plus 0.0663. They're probably going to make a given question out of this. So what are the odds you have diabetes given that you tested positive? 1391. The person picked at random tests positive. Using this test, find the probability they actually have diabetes. There we go. Probability you have diabetes given you get a positive test. So that would be the probability of their intersection, and I did say this to a lot of people, so that's kind of handy as well, over the probability that you tested positive. So the probability that you have diabetes and you tested positive is this number. Has diabetes tested positive, 0.0663. That's the intersection of the two. The probability that you tested positive is this number up here, 0.1391. So we're going to say 0.0663 divided by the answer is... now, it doesn't say to any decimal places, so I'm assuming they want us to leave this as a fraction. That's not a great test then, because 50% of the time, if you test positive, it means you have diabetes, and 50% you don't. 5 people are picked at random from the people in Ireland. Assuming that 6.7, what's the probability 2 or more of these people have diabetes? So that would mean 2, 3, 4, or 5. But instead, what I'm going to do is the opposite, which is 0 and 1. So I'm going to find the probability 0 have it. So that would be 5, choose 0, 0.067. The power of 0 is what I meant to do. And then this would be 0.933 to the power of 5. Then I'm going to add it to 5, choose 1. which is 0.067 to the power of 1, 0.933 to the power of 4, and I'm going to do 1 minus all of that, because we want the opposite. So, 1 minus, let's see if I can type all this in, but that's just going to be that, so that's not bad. I did one too many brackets, minus, typed it wrong, 0.67, 0.933, 4. Yeah, I guess 0.54. It doesn't say any decimal places, which is weirding me out. So it's making me think I've done something wrong, because if it didn't say decimal places, I think they were assuming I was going to get it as a fraction, but there's no earthly way you were going to get this as a fraction. Unless if I did it separately, 0.933 power of 5. Yeah, it doesn't give me that as a fraction. Okay. Alright. Have I done this the right way around? Assuming that 6.7% of people in Ireland have diabetes, work at the probability of 2 or more. 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1 is the opposite of that. We'll do 0 and 1. Probability of 0 people out of 5 would be 5 choose 0. 0.067 to the power of 0. 0.933 to the power of 5. Oh, I've done something wrong. I typed something in wrong, I think, actually. Yeah, the number should be much smaller. Hold on, I typed something in wrong. I tried to do it all at once, and now I'm sitting here feeling stupid. Yeah, much smaller number, actually. Okay, I don't know what I typed in wrong the first time. I just knew that was way too high. The odds that you would get 5 people and 2 or more have diabetes is over 50% is crazy. Still, this doesn't say to any decimal places though, and that's still worrying me. Okay, it's strange. That's very strange. I'm going to look at the marking scheme straight after this, actually, because that one is a very peculiar one. 20 people take part in a clinical trial. 10 of them will be picked to be in Group A. 10 will be in Group B. How many different combinations of 10 people can be picked to be in Group A? So I'm assuming it's just 20 choose 10. Excuse me, 20 choose 10. Be a massive number. I don't want to try that in my head, actually. Well, I would, but not here. Okay, it's massive, never mind. 1, 8, 4, 7, 5, 6. Isn't that right? How many different combinations of 10 people can be picked to be in Group A? Yeah. 10 people are picked and are put in Group A. Each person in Group A is now paired with a person in Group B, making 10 pairs. How many different sets of pairs can be made? Well, one person in Group A can have 10 different pairings. Then the second person can only have 9. And then the third can have 8. So I think it's 10 factorial, which is like 3.6 million. Where's factorial in this, though? There we go. So right, my logic is if this is Group A and this is Group B, let's say there's 10 people, whatever, then this person can have, oh no, I'm being stupid. This person can have, no, I'm not being stupid. Have faith in yourself. This person can have the pick of 10. So this first person has 10 choices, but then one of them is gone, so then this guy can only pick from 9. That's what I'm going to go with. In a different canonical trial, 24 people are split into two groups, X and Y. 8 are in X, 16 are in Y. Each person in group X is paired with 2 people. Ugh. So everyone in group Y is in exactly one of these pairings. Yeah, they can't be doubled up. How many different sets of pairings can be made? Give your answer in the form. Okay, now I've never done one like this before, so the first, if we do the same logic, the first person here can pick from anybody, and there's going to be, so this is X and this is Y, so there's 16 people to choose from, so it's going to be 16 choose 2. But then this guy is going to have 14 to choose from, so he's going to be 14 choose 2. Then the next one would be 12 choose 2, is that right? And we just have to add all of them together, or multiply all of them together actually, like, because it's the thing. Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure about this one. That would be my guess. 16 choose 2 is 120. But I'll do them all. I don't know. This seems wrong just because of how much typing out you have to do. But logically speaking, so up until 12, then we have to multiply that by 10. To multiply that by 8, choose 2. Multiply by 6, choose 2. Then multiply that by 4, choose 2. Then multiply that by 2, choose 2, which shouldn't change anything. And it gives you the answer in that format. And the correct 3 decimal places, that would be 173 by 10 to the 10. Bizarre one. That one was tricky. Again, very standard layout. Just some... It's actually fine. I just didn't like some of it myself. Now I'm looking at it. It's actually okay. This last bit was a bitch, but I think everything else was actually okay. Okay. Worldwide scores on this test are normally distributed a mean of 400, a standard deviation of 60. Use the empirical rule, so a lot of them mightn't have done this because it's normally versed as ordinary level. Yeah, 60. Yeah. Use a normal distribution to work out the proportion of students worldwide who would score above 420. Okay, so we would say that is a z-score of 0.33 when you do the z equals nonsense. Now, I don't know those ones, so I'm going to have to go to 0.33, and that number is 6293. But they want what's above that, so it has to change the opposite way around, which is 0.3707. Yeah. Scored above 420, yeah. Oh, okay, is that it? Okay, hopefully that's not bad, actually. This is, yeah, okay. A random sample of students is taken from each country that takes part in the maths test. Shows the mean standard deviation of the 3 countries. We're not going to name the countries, though, to avoid some sort of international conflict. For parts B and C, use the relevant standard deviation from the table above. Using values from the table below, construct a 95% confidence of population mean score of country X. So we have to score the sample is 387. Okay. So it's going to be 387 plus or minus 1.96. Sigma for X was 66.2 over, Jesus, the square root of 2161. Okay. 387 plus 1.96 bracket 66.2 over the square root of 2161. Yeah, so the bigger one would be 389.8 to one decimal place, and then we do the minus instead of the plus. 384.2. And we're going to say that we think mu. We're 95% certain mu is whatever in between those two. Okay. All right. They carried it at 5% hypothesis if the population mean score of the country was different to 400. Okay. The null hypothesis was that the mean score of the country was 400. The alternative was that it was not. They keep giving you shit. That's very strange. Using values work at the test statistic of the sample mean. We're using values in table work at the test statistic sample mean. So we have to do 403, just so I don't have to do it in 2.724. We don't need the standard deviation because what we need to do is z equals x bar minus mu over sigma over root n, which is going to be 403 minus 400 over, we do need sigma, I lied to you guys, 70.6 over the square root of 2.724. And that would be the test statistic. But they didn't ask you to clarify what that actually, like, what relevance that has. Okay. 2.2. If we go to 2 decimal places, which would mean it's not in the confidence interval, which means that this country has a higher, according to we would guess that we would say that it is not 400. We'd reject the null hypothesis because 400 does not suit as a potential thing. Hence, work out the p-value of this test statistic and state the conclusion of your hypothesis test in the given context. So we already know the answer, I suppose, anyway, so we kind of know what we're looking for. We're looking for p to be below 5, or 0.05, which we know is definitely true anyway. So the z-score is 2.22. We're going to need to find this bit here and double it, so we have this version over here as well. In order to do that, then we're going to have to go back to the grid, go to 2.22 and find out this bit, and then do 1 minus. 2.22 is 9868. So we'd say 9868, and we do 1 minus that, and we'd get 0.0132. We'd have to double that, and we get 0.0264. But that is below 5, so the p-value is 0.0264. Work out the p-value of this test statistic and state the conclusion of the hypothesis test in the given context, making reference to the mean score for the country y. So we would say it's not 400, it's different to the rest of the world. And it would be above 400. We're saying they're better on average because it was 403. So because it's 403, it's higher than 400 is what our guess is going to be. We can't be definite. We don't know for certain. All of this is just guesswork. Because if the p-value is below 5%, all it means, or 0.05, is that it's not 400, but it still could be lesser than, it still could be more than. We just had to say because it was 403, that means it was actually less than, or higher than, rather than below. Country said 50 of all students have a pet in their home, 50% do not. Square root sample of this could be taken as a stratified random sample with respect to having a pet in the home. And explain why it is probably not useful to do this when looking at these students' maths scores. I don't know. Stratified random? I wrote with that. So basically this is like English again, so I'm not. Stratified random is, I can't remember, to be honest with you. I'm assuming what they're trying to get at is, though, stratified random sample would probably be pick a location or an area or something and do it on that. But that wouldn't work for the math scores because that could be just one location has a really good school or a really bad school. It's the bias involved would be due to the fact that they're all of the same. There's some commonality to it. I don't know that one though. That's fine. That's English. I'll look that one up, I suppose, afterwards as well. For one of the questions on the test, students are given a mark of 0, 1, 2, or 3. The proportion of students who get up each mark is shown in the table below. P and R are real numbers and they're greater than or equal to 0. Students picked at random. The expected value of their mark for this question will depend on the values of P and R. Find the largest value that the expected value of their mark could be. Okay, well, basically what we have to say is because it's proportionality, that all has to add up to 1. So what I can say is that 0.19 plus P plus 3R equals 1. So P plus 3R equals 0.81. Expected value would be multiply each of these together. And we can say the expected value, the 0 by 0.19 is irrelevant. The 1 by P is this, the 2 by 2R is 4R, 3 by R is this. So we can say the expected value is P plus 7R. So that's the expected. Now, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to say P is equal to 0.81 minus 3R. And then everywhere I see a P, I'm going to put that instead. So I'm going to say that it's 0.81 minus 3R plus 7R now instead. So it'll be 0.81 plus 4R is the expected value. And they said, what's the largest value that the expected value of their mark could be? What's the largest value? So what I was assuming what I'm going to do is largest is another way of saying maximum. So I was going to differentiate this. So if we did like the expected value of x, like this would get 4, right? So we'd be saying that the increase is at a rate of 4, but that's not the actual mark. So what we need to do is we need to take that and sub that back in for the or in the original guy, in this guy. But we need to know what P is, but we can find that out by subbing in 4 in here as well. So we say P is equal to 0.81 minus 12, bizarrely. This looks fucked actually now that I'm doing it, so I've done something wrong, I think. But let's see. Well, I'll sub it into this one instead, actually. So that would be... Yeah, no, something's wrong with that. Let me think. Everything is right up until I started differentiating stuff. Find the largest value that the expected value of their mark could be. I don't know. This one is throwing me off as well. The last two, like the last one was English, which is fair that I don't know it. This one being maths and me not getting it is pissing me off. This last one, is it? Yeah. Find the largest value that the expected value of the mark could be. So the answer has to be in between 0 and 3, right? And the problem is I'm not getting answers in between 0 and 3, which is problematic. I'm sure we can all tell. Oh, no, okay, alright. So I see what my mistake was. We can't just sub in the 4. That was stupid of me. Okay, I understand that we can't do that now. Yeah, ignore that 4 bit. Well, there's something in there. Let me just. Yeah, the four is a stupid thing because the 4 is just telling us that as it goes from 0 to 1, it goes from 0 to 3, which we knew probability wise. Hmm. Like if you were stuck in an exam, what you could just do is just keep subbing numbers in for p and or into the expected value until you spotted a pattern. But as the maths guy, I feel like I can't do that. I need to find the official trickery to it. Like what you could do is that p and or. Well, we know that p plus 3 or can't go above 0.81, so you could just keep subbing in different values. Well, by that logic, then you could just keep. Well. Well. Yeah, I suppose what you could do is you could say or has to be in between 0 and 27 because of this thing, right? If or was smaller than 0, p would be bigger than 0.81, which doesn't make sense. If or was bigger than 27, p would be smaller than 0, which doesn't make sense. So or has to be in between those two. Um, so and when I say 27, I mean 0.27, sorry. So I guess ignore this and then take this and then say if or was 0, that would be 0.81. If or was 0.27, that would be 1.08, so that would be 1.89. I think that might be it, actually. Yeah. Sure. Can we say that? Yeah, or has to be in between those two numbers, or else the circle bit on the left doesn't make sense. And then I just use the two extremes. Yeah, 0 point. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go with that, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. An hour 20. Yeah, that's not too bad. Paper 2, as I said, would probably be weaker for me than paper 1. But yeah, that would be it. Yes. Okay. All right. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. All right then.